Eat this, don't eat that. You've got to exercise every single day. Get more sleep. When it comes to our health, the advice can feel, well, it can feel like a lot. Sometimes it even feels contradictory. But what if there was a simple, science-backed blueprint for a longer, healthier life? Well, there is, and that's exactly why today we're unpacking the American Heart Association's definitive guide, Life's Essential 8.
So first, let's just get a handle on the sheer scale of the problem. Here in the United States, heart disease claims a life every 34 seconds. Think about that. Every 34 seconds. It is the #1 killer year in and year out.
And the economic toll? Whoa, it's just as staggering. We're talking about an annual cost of over $400 billion in the US. And if we don't change course, that number is projected to triple to nearly $1.8 trillion by 2050.
But this right here is the most important number of all. And it's exactly why we're talking about this today. Up to 80%, 80, of all cardiovascular events like heart attacks and strokes are preventable. Yeah, that's not a typo. The vast, vast majority of this devastation simply doesn't have to happen.
So that begs the big question, right? If we can prevent it, how do we actually do it? What's the secret? Well, the great news is it's not a secret at all. It's a plan. A clear, measurable, and scientifically proven framework.
And that plan is Life's Essential 8. You can think of it as the AHA's official roadmap. And what it does is it distills decades of research into the 8 most critical areas for your heart health. So let's start breaking them down. The framework itself is beautifully simple. It's split right down the middle into 2 categories. On one side, you've got 4 health behaviors. These are the daily habits, the choices you control, like what you eat and how much you move. And on the other side, 4 health factors. These are the clinical numbers you need to know, the stuff you get from your doctor, like blood pressure and cholesterol.
Now, what's really interesting is that this framework just got a big update back in 2022. It used to be called the Simple 7. So why the change? Well, the science evolved. The single biggest change was adding sleep, finally recognizing it as a non-negotiable pillar of our health. It also got smarter about nicotine, expanding beyond just cigarettes to include vaping. And crucially, it moved to a much more precise 0 to 100 scoring system, so you can actually track all the small, meaningful improvements you make along the way. All right, so let's dive into that first category, starting with the newest, and you could argue the most important addition, sleep, and its partner in crime, physical activity. This quote from Dr. Donald Lloyd-Jones, who led the whole update, really says it all. Sleep isn't just one of the 8 things on the list. It's the foundation that makes improving the other 7 even possible. I mean, think about it. When you sleep better, you tend to eat better. You have more energy to exercise, and your body just manages stress more effectively. And the evidence for this, it's just overwhelming. 1 in 3 American adults is sleep deprived. And get this, new research is showing that when you sleep, your consistency might be even more critical than how long you sleep. Then you have conditions like sleep apnea. That's a disorder where you actually stop breathing for moments at a time while you sleep, and it affects a massive percentage of people with high blood pressure. It just directly damages the cardiovascular system. Okay, now for some really good news, especially for those of us with crazy busy weeks. The official recommendation is 150 minutes of moderate exercise per week. But a huge study found that weekend warriors, people who cram all 150 minutes into 1 or 2 big sessions, get nearly the exact same heart benefits as people who spread it out. As you can see from the chart, that adds up to a 27% lower heart attack risk. The takeaway here is so simple. Just get it done, whenever you can.
Next up, let's talk about fuel. What you put into your body is every bit as important as how you move it. This means focusing on your diet and, just as importantly, what you need to avoid. And that means nicotine.
The science here couldn't be clearer. It's not about finding one magical superfood. It's all about your overall dietary pattern. Diets like the Mediterranean and DASH, which stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension, these are packed with whole foods and have been shown to slash major heart events by a staggering 48%. Now, on the flip side, a diet high in ultra-processed foods is linked to a 50% higher risk of cardiovascular death. The message is pretty straightforward. Eat real food. And when it comes to nicotine, the message is, well, blunt. For patients who already have heart disease, quitting smoking completely, not cutting back, quitting, cut their risk of another major event by 44%. But as the slide makes very clear, just reducing how much they smoked showed pretty much zero benefit.
When it comes to nicotine and your heart, it is an all-or-nothing game.
Okay, so we've covered the 4 behaviors. Now let's switch gears to the 4 health factors. These are the numbers you get from your doctor, and they are critical checkpoints that can literally save your life.
These 3, blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar, they form this dangerous trio because they all work together to accelerate damage. High blood pressure is called the silent killer for a reason. High LDL, or bad cholesterol, that's the raw material for the plaque that gunks up your arteries. And having diabetes, that effectively doubles your risk of heart disease right off the bat.
So, just how important is it to manage these numbers? Well, a massive clinical trial called SPRINT was actually stopped early because the results were so dramatic. Aggressively lowering blood pressure to a target below 120 reduced the risk of dying from any cause by 27%. That finding has completely changed how doctors treat blood pressure.
And we are entering a really exciting new era of treatment. Recent trials like SELECT have been absolute game changers. They've proven that these new weight loss and diabetes medications, like semaglutide, can directly reduce heart attacks and strokes by 20% in at-risk patients, even if they don't have diabetes. This is a huge paradigm shift.
So we've covered all 8 metrics. We've got the knowledge. The final, and honestly the most important part, is turning that knowledge into action. This is all about taking control of your score, and by doing that, taking control of your future.
The American Heart Association has made this incredibly easy with their My Life Check tool online. You just go to the website, you enter your information, and you'll get a personalized heart health score from 0 to 100. And what's great is this turns all that abstract advice into a concrete number you can actually track, and it shows you exactly where to focus your efforts.
And this slide right here, this captures the real magic of the entire framework. The most important thing to remember is you don't have to be perfect. The goal isn't to get a perfect score in one area. The real power comes from the compounding effect of making small, even imperfect improvements across several of the 8 metrics. A little bit better sleep, a few more walks, one less processed meal a week, it all adds up, and together it creates a massive reduction in your risk.
I want to leave you with this thought. We so often think about heart health just in terms of avoiding a heart attack, but the science behind the Essential 8 shows it's about so much more than that. It's about adding years to your life, and more importantly, adding life to your years. A life free of not just heart disease, but also cancer, dementia, and diabetes. It isn't just about living longer, it's about living better. It truly is the fountain of youth.